the last, I'd say 60 to 90 days, people from our community are quitting left and right. Wins are great. Losses suck at times. But like the gap between those two emotionally, I just look at like, what am I going to actually be thinking about this issue 24 months from now? Putting together, okay, I want to send X mailers per month. I want to send X text messages per month. I want to start cold calling myself. I don't know, maybe 100 people per week. I think having that, it feels much more like a business at that point than a side hustle, than something that you are just doing when you have time. You're making $15,000 a month land flipping right now with a full-time job. Imagine if you didn't have that full-time job and you have more hours every single day to put towards this business. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke. By myself in this episode. What I'm going to be talking about today is the three most important factors, the three things that you should be looking at as you're trying to transition to a full-time land investor job, full-time land investing job, entrepreneur from a 9 to 5. So the three most important factors before you even really think about quitting a 9 to 5 job. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And the reason I wanted to go over this topic is because the last, I'd say 60 to 90 days, people from our community are quitting left and right, and they are quitting with a plan. A lot of them we've talked to prior to them quitting their 9 to 5 job, just to kind of make sure they're on the right track, and them checking in with us to see if it makes sense. But the stories are inspiring for sure. They should inspire you guys who are getting into land investing right now, who are thinking about getting into land investing right now. And we had Landon on a podcast. His goal was to quit, I don't know, I think by Q4 or something like that. He quit barely into quarter or end of Q2. He quit. Tamir quit his job recently. Dylan quit his job recently. And then the names go on and on. So I think this is a very timely topic. I know there's more people considering. I know there's more people in our community that should be putting in their 2 weeks notice at their 9 to 5, but they're nervous or whatever. So hopefully wherever you are in your land investing journey, if you're a part of our community, if you're making money in land, or if you're just trying to get into it right now, hopefully this episode can bring you some value. So again, this is the three most important things in my mind. I've quit a job. I'm a full-time entrepreneur now, obviously. I was a college basketball coach. I was a outside salesperson. I've done a lot of things. I was a high school teacher. I've done a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, I made that transition. I understand mentally the obstacles that can be in the way. And that is number one, is the mindset needs to be there. And really, when you are getting ready to quit your job and take on an entrepreneur journey full-time, whether it's land investing or something else, you can't really predict, I don't think, how your body, how your mind is going to react. But you got to understand from a mindset perspective, there are going to be difficult times. Like there's going to be times in a land investing business where you might not make money for 30 days. Like that is a real thing when you're transitioning. You do not have a paycheck every 2 weeks. You don't have something secure every 2 weeks. Your ceiling is way, way higher your freedom is way higher, as I'm sure you guys know listening to this. But the number one thing is like, you got to be ready. Your mindset has to be ready for ups and downs. And for me, when I was younger, the ups and downs would be wider spread. It was a true roller coaster. Like early in the land career, even it was a true roller coaster. Now it's like wins are great. Losses suck at times, but like the gap between those two emotionally is far, far smaller. There are big things that happen in business that can really, really affect you. But at the end of the day, like, if I just look at like, what am I going to actually be thinking about this issue 24 months from now? If the answer is no, then I don't brush it off. I just solve it. There's a puzzle that needs to be solved and I solve it. And that's the thing. As you're going into entrepreneurship full time, like you are going to be on a daily basis, you need to be solving puzzles. There's a puzzle that I call them puzzles as opposed to problems. There are puzzles that are thrown at you every single day, and you need to find out how to solve them. And that is truly what entrepreneurship is. And the people who make the most money are the people who can solve the puzzles the fastest and the most efficient, honestly. Like it's not about being perfect, and you can't take six months to do something that should be done in 48 hours. There is a thing about speed. And as you are transitioning, if you're thinking about taking that step, whatever it is, these things are going to come up on a daily basis. There are going to be things that are going to try to stress you out on a daily basis, and just, I don't want to say suck it up, because that's not the right term I'm looking for, but just like taking it on and then moving past it, finding a solution for whatever it is. So number one, mindset. Number two is finances. Like, it's just the reality. Like, if you have $5,000 of bills monthly, whatever the number doesn't matter. Like, you want to, I'm not one to just risk everything. That's not what I was when I went from college basketball coach to full-time entrepreneur. It wasn't just risking everything. Like, you need to have finances in place based on your risk profile. Some people's risk profile is way higher and some people's is way lower, where some people are going to want 2 years of money behind them to pay bills. Other people are going to want 3 months. It varies from person to person. Some people like backing themselves into a wall. That's a real thing. They like having themselves backed into a wall. And you just got to look at, like, what's the worst case scenario? You fail being a land investor, you fail being an entrepreneur, and then you need to find that sales job again. You need to find that marketing job again. The jobs are out there for sure if you're talented in your field, but having your finances aligned, I like 6 months, honestly, of expenses. It's, if you can't figure out in 6 months, it might not be for you, to be 100% honest. Not from the start. As far as, I'm not saying you started land investing yesterday and quit your job because you have 6 months of finances. I'm not saying that at all. But if you've been in this business for 6-8 months and you've saved up 6-8 months of bills from land investing, that might be the time to go. Honestly, it might be the time to hit this full on. And the thing that a lot of people don't weigh into it is, like, you're making $15,000 a month land flipping right now with a full-time job. Imagine if you didn't have that full-time job and you have 8 hours, more hours every single day to put towards this business, growing this business, scaling this business, making more money in this business, doing more deals, all of these things. Like, the sky is truly the limit when you're talking about that. So that is having a financial plan with you. If you have a wife, sit down, talk to her, whatever it is, but have a plan in the back of your head, have something that makes sense for you, a financial, like, whatever it is. Like I said, it could be 3 months, it could be 6, it could be 12 months. It really is based on your risk profile, based on your situation, how much, like, what is the way Landon said it a couple weeks ago, or I heard him say it on some of those podcasts, maybe. He said, I have X dollars saved. I'm spending X dollars per month, but I know I can squeeze that money I'm spending per month down to like $2,000 if it really needed to come to that. It's not going to come to that with Landon, but it's just a situation like, okay, you're spending X dollars per month. What could you actually cut that down to if need be, so you can even fuel more money into the business? So number one, mindset. And mindset kind of overlaps with everything we're talking about. Number two, finances. Have some kind of, just know what your finances are, honestly. Have some knowledge about what your finances are. What are you going to do for the next 6 months, theoretically, if you didn't make any money in land over the next 6 months? And number three is having a plan. And this, I mean, from a business perspective. We're not talking about financial. Personally financial. We're talking about from a business perspective. What are your marketing strategies for the next 6 months, the next 8 months after you quit? What is your deal flow going to look like? What are your deal goals? Do you have KPIs in place? I think having that, it feels much more like a business at that point than a side hustle, than something that you are just doing when you have time. So putting together, okay, I want to send X mailers per month. I want to send X text messages per month. I want to start cold calling myself 100 people. I don't know, maybe 100 people per week, something like that. Having something in place. So if you hit those inputs, that's all this business model is, honestly, is your inputs are what's going to create your outputs. Some people are more effective with their inputs, which are cold calling, texting, mailing. Some people are more efficient for sure, but your inputs are what you need to be keeping track of. It's so controllable. Like, if I have a goal of sending 50,000 mailers next month, I know 100% certainty if I don't hit that, it is on me. There's no one else. Like, you send 50,000 mailers, Sometimes you might get 10 deals. Sometimes you might get 15. Sometimes you might get 3 deals from those 50,000 mailers. Those are kind of those outputs that you get. But the input of how much marketing you're going to be doing for the next month, what's your monthly marketing look like? What is your quarterly? What is your yearly marketing look like? Have things in place. Have a plan. That's what this number 3 is all about. Have a plan so you're able to scale up your business. And when you look back 3 months from now and like I killed my numbers, I destroyed what I was trying to do, you have something to pinpoint it on. Like, oh my goodness, I hit all my mail goals. I actually was 10% over my mail goals. I sent more texts than I want. Like, that makes a lot of sense why you would have done better. But if you go back and look at your numbers, your goals, and you were at 50% of the amount of mail you want to send, it's very clear. That's why you didn't hit your financial goals, is because you didn't send enough mail. And it's really, you can get more into the weeds as far as a plan for all of this. Maybe you have a plan for like your mailing right now. You have a plan. I want to send 10,000 mailers per month next 3 months. In October, I want to start sending text messages. There's a lot of stuff that leads up to sending text messages that you're going to need before you can actually send text messages out. You need to learn about it. You need to go through all the texting regulations, make sure your site's up for texting, everything like that. But having a plan like that, how are you going to be getting deals for next 3, 6, 12 months, I think is so, so important. So again, I wanted to keep this episode short with a lot of content in it. As you guys are thinking about this, and I hope a lot of people listening to this, it's their goal to eventually get out of their job, whether it's from land investing or something else. I hope it's your goal to get out of your traditional corporate job, if that is your goal. Like, if it's not your goal and you're happy in your corporate job, go for it. Be there 30 years, do all that. It wasn't a life for me. It wasn't meant for me. And I think that's a lot of people out there that feel kind of trapped, I think, in their corporate job, in that kind of life, and it can keep them a little stagnant. If it is your goal to eventually get out of your job, hopefully this episode brought some value to you. If you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, leave me a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts on this episode are. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, share this with a friend. Leave us a review. It helps so, so much. We really appreciate you guys. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.